Now let's learn about a new thing which is quite interesting. Okay, so that my s of the constant actually got rubbed off, so I'm just making it full. Now let's learn about a new thing called coefficients. Coefficients. Okay, a coefficient. And my emphasis on here is you understanding what these terminologies are. Once you know these terminologies, you never have to go back and forth to understand what did that teacher say when she meant a coefficient of x, coefficient of y. Why is she mentioning 2x square plus x plus 1? It has a x square has a coefficient, x has a coefficient, z is having a coefficient. These terminologies, these constant terminology called constant, variable, factors, multiplication, division, divisor, dividend, these are all the mathematical jargon a teacher will use, and I'm preparing you for that. Get prepared with each of these terminologies, and tomorrow you'll never have problems with understanding what the teacher is telling you. Okay, let's move ahead with understanding what coefficients are. Okay, supposing I have an equation. Okay, so I have an equation called 2x plus 1. Okay, so this is a linear equation with a single variable. Now try to get this. This is an equation, right? This is an equation. Why it's an equation? Because you've got left hand side okay, so in this equation you have why it's called an equation? Because you have an equal sign. Let me just rub this off and write it having more, give it more space to understand. So you have an equation called 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So I have a new term which I learned just now. This is equation. Why is it an equation? Because you have an equal to sign and you have a left hand side and a right hand side. And what we are trying to, why this is called an equation is because we are saying this left hand side is equal to the right hand side, and there is a value of this x. Okay, so what we are trying to tell you is 2x plus 1 is equal to 0 when x has some value. At that point this left hand side becomes equal to the right hand side. Let me rephrase this again. Since you understand that this part, this x part is the variable part, there is some value. If I put in this equation, this left hand side becomes equal to the right hand side. Understood? So telling you again, 2x plus 1, this is the left hand side. There is some value of x when put into x. Since x is a variable, this left hand side becomes equal to the right hand side. Understand? That is an equation. See, a simple equation has so many things in it. Okay. So now, let me just clear this off. And before clearing, I'll just tell you one more small thing, which try to remember this, because see, in an equation which I wrote just now, which is 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, this and this are terms of an equation. What are them? What are those? Those are terms. The terms of an equation. And each term, I'll separate that term 2x has two parts to it. Has two parts to it. What are those parts? I'll just tell you. I'll rub this. Okay, so just to rephrase or sum it up, 2x plus 0 is equal to 2x plus 1 is equal to 0 is an equation. In an equation, you have a left hand side and a right hand side. Okay, and each term is separated with an operator. So this single thing is a term, and that term, this term in this equation, we have 2x plus 1 and 1 as a different terms. So we, in this term 2x, you have more of two parts in it. I'll tell you what are those parts are. Just a minute. Just clear this out now. So, to come back, an equation has the following parts: 1, an LHS, an RHS, an equal to sign, and you have terms in an equation. You have number of terms which make an equation. So in the last example which we saw, 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, and we have taken this first term 2x. In this we said there are two parts. It's divided into two parts again. What are those parts? So a term is basically divided into two parts. A single term is divided into two parts. Those parts are: 1, the x part, which we learned is the variable part, and you have a constant along with x, which is called a coefficient. Just remember this. There are so many things, but so easy to just see how easy things become when you know each of them properly. So an equation has a left hand side, a right hand side, a equal to sign, and every equation has got number of terms. Each term is divided into two parts. The constant part is the coefficient, and the variable part is the x. So there are two parts to this. There is a tricky question over here. If I just say, okay, I'll just rub this off again. Just remember this. Okay, now I'll just rub this part on. Okay, so So I have another equation called x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now I said there are two parts to a term. One is the variable and another is the constant. Here, tell me what the coefficient is. This is an interesting thing. Coefficient. What is the coefficient of this? And what is the variable of this? Just think over it. So the coefficient here we learned that it's a constant. So always remember, if there is no coefficient in front of a variable, like in this case, we assume the coefficient to be 1. Why? Because 1 into x, 1 into anything is that same thing. So 1 into 10 is 10. 1 into 11 is 11. So 1 is the coefficient in this. Okay, in this, the 1 is the coefficient and x is the variable. Why we are assuming coefficient to be 1 is because multiply coefficient 1 with anything, the value does not change, right? So that is the reason the coefficient in this case is 1. The coefficient in this case is 1. Let me clear this off again and just sum this part up so that you will get to know this. So this is a very important thing. If I write x plus 1 is equal to 0, and in this term we have coefficient. So I'm just rubbing this off. Yeah. Now if I have, I'll take the equation again, write the equation again. X plus 1 is equal to 0. So this is a term in this equation. If the term is only a variable, by assumption you should always consider the coefficient to be 1, because 1 into anything is the number. Okay, that's 1. And variable, anyways, you know variable is x part, x. And I'll go to a quadratic equation, a quadratic equation where I say you'll learn about quadratic equations later on. I'm just putting another equation here. Just consider this as an equation. 2x plus y plus 2z plus 1 is equal to 0. So you have 1, 2, 3 terms in it and a constant. Okay, so if I take the first, just make a line over here. If I take the first term here, which is 2x square, so in this, the coefficient, I'm writing c as the coefficient. C is 2 and the variable is, v as a variable is x square. So the coefficient of x square is 2. That's how you need to remember. So I'll write the second term over here. The second term is y. So the coefficient of the second term is 1. You remember 1 into anything is the same value. The value does not change. So coefficient of only a single term y is 1 and the variable as v is y. Then we'll go to the third term, which is over here, and just rub this again, and yeah. The third term, 2z. So the coefficient here is 2 and the variable here is z. This is how you need to think. Okay. So always remember, an equation has a left hand side, a right hand side, an equal to sign and terms in it, and a constant. And a constant, you need to write this constant. The constant, what is a constant? The value of the constant does not change. What is a variable? A variable is a container which can keep different values in it. Okay. So we have covered coefficients. So let's now go ahead and cover factors.